gentlemen, we now come to the most awaited moment, the inaugural address, and it is my privilege to introduce our distinguished chief guest, Mr. Venky Rajgopal. Born into a family of civil servants, is now a first-generation entrepreneur. A postgraduate in economics, he joined the IPS in the year 1979 and served till the year 1989. Mr. Venky Rajgopal started his business career as a garment manufacturer and exporter, and subsequently in the year 2000, he launched the brand Indian Terrain. Indian Terrain has today grown to be a truly national brand with its presence firmly established across the entire country. Indian Terrain is today one of the 3 top casual wear brands in the country and has currently recorded a turnover of rupees 500 crores. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I now invite our chief guest, Mr. Venky Rajgopal, to deliver the inaugural address.
Group Captain Vijay Kumar, Mr. Vinod, distinguished speakers, and the lady who's traveled all the way from Uttarakhand to come and speak here at this convention, really remarkable. Members of the MMA committee and other members, guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a privilege to be invited here this morning to be a speaker in a conclave and on a subject which is dear to me as an individual. I have an opportunity to study, practice, observe leadership, its presence and its absence in different forums, whether be it in business or in business forums that I have been fortunate to be a part of. It's very interesting that leadership is such an important subject and occupies the attention of so many people. Is just revealed by a simple fact. Over the last 1 month, I have had an occasion to speak at several forums. I spoke at a technology company's annual breakout a month ago in Bangalore. There were over 300 of their global employees, and the theme of the convention was Dare, Dream and Deliver, and what does leadership have to do with it? I subsequently spoke at another Rotary event in Madras, and where they said, where the subject was companies going from good to great, and what does leadership have to do with it? And today, I hear this, the wrap of the conclave today is people, purpose and passion, and leadership, and what does it have to do with it? So, the point I'm making is, wherever you go today, in whatever area of business or life you may be engaged in, this single aspect of leadership consumes a large part of the manner in which we live our lives. We may not be cognizant of it. When you go to your workplace, you may not think to yourself that the leadership which is running this organization, running this company, is in some way going to impact the way I live, the way I'm going to spend my day. The kind of person who's going back home today after working for 8 hours, am I a fit enough son? Am I a fit enough husband? Am I a fit enough housemaker? Whatever role you may be playing back home, the quality of the person who goes back after work is also impacted by the kind of leadership that you encounter during the day. So it's not just about leadership influencing you in the workplace. It's about leadership influencing you as a person. So talking about purpose and passion, and I'll come to it, is not, these three are not linearly related. It's not that there are people and then there is purpose and there is passion. The three all are flying in different altitudes. If you think of Group Captain will identify with this analogy. It's like a formation of aircrafts which are just not aligned. One is at 30,000 feet, one is at 5,000, one is 10,000. If you want to align the three and fly in formation, then the singular magic which can make that happen is great leadership. So think about the time we are living in today in this world. This is a dramatic period in the history of mankind. There is so much change happening in the world today, it's tectonic. It's not the usual change. Countries are leaving global alliances. People are choosing to elect leaders who may throw a ring fence around their country or who may discriminate against communities and people. The whole of Europe is about leadership. Whether you allow immigrants, you don't allow immigrants. Is it the cause of humanity which is larger than the crying need of a nation? Is the interest of the people of a country more important than the global citizens? At every level, I mean, I'm talking about a larger picture before we speak about perhaps the elements of what do you see in life and what do you see in business, because somewhere or the other, it's the quality of this leadership and what is going to define the way we live our life. Over the last, over 50,000 years that man has been walking or present on this planet, over the last 100 years of industrial age, the leader was an all-commanding, he was a leader who knew everything, who saw everything, who commanded what should be done. People looked up to him, and that was a singular idea of the leader. That was the age of control. It was a different kind of a time. It was a different context in which such leaders were born. But think about it today. Is it an age of control anymore? This is a knowledge world. There is such dramatic transparency of information. The speed at which people are connected from one part of the world to the other, whether it is audio-wise or visually or pure intellect or information, it is a dramatically changing world. And the concept of a leader today is the one who knows the art of enabling. It is an art. It's no longer a science. It is an art of enabling the people around you, to really release the full extent of their talent and potential. That is leadership. It is not about me commanding somebody to do something or giving an instruction of a certain kind. It is about me enabling the people around me to give their best in terms of the talent they have or the potential they have. So it's a complete paradigm shift in what does leadership need to do today, and what did it need to do yesterday, and is that model of leadership any more relevant? Ask yourself another question. In the organizations that we all work for, when I was a police officer or subsequently in my life as an entrepreneur, what does a paycheck do for you? Somebody comes to work for an organization. Yes, there is a leader. What does it do for you? It buys you that person's attendance, for sure. It guarantees you a certain amount of work which he will do based on the direction you give him. He may protect you to some extent against misgivings in your company or misdoings in your company. But that is all that will do. Genius of man, the creativity of man, the talent of that man, and the passion of that man or woman can only be unleashed by a leader who understands that it is about the people and that environment, because that has to be volunteered. It cannot be bought. Genius, talent, passion, and the willingness to contribute has got to be volunteered by the people who work for you. You cannot buy it on a paycheck. And if that is to happen, and if those people are central to your success as in an organization or in the community you live in, then the nature of leadership that you bring to bear on that ecosystem has got to put people absolutely in the center of what you do, and not the profitability or not the business goal. You look after your people and they will look after your end result. But if you're going to only be looking after your end result, and if people just become one more means towards that end, my experience as an entrepreneur has taught me that it's a very short-lived method in which to grow a lasting institution, a lasting organization. If people say there's an organization with a lot of values, a lot of culture, this is an organization where people come and stay, where people contribute. If all that is to happen, then people should be at the very center of what you do. If people are to be at the center of what you do, you have to resonate with people 24/7. So a leader, this is the other big, it's a simple fact, But if I choose to be a leader, and I'm sure you all have heard this, it's not, it's, I quote someone, I do not know who said leadership is a choice, it's not a position. Being a leader is a choice you make, it is not a position I give you. So if you make the choice to be a leader, and if people are to be at the center of what you do 24/7, 365 days a year, then the empathy which Vinod was referring to has to be switched on 24/7. It's not something which I can switch on when I get into my transport to go to work and I go back home and I switch it off. That does not work. And I think Afzal, in his story is going to bring that out. He was telling me just before this conclave began, the nature of operations he runs. And when somebody has over 10,000 buses, you said, sir? 1,000 buses? If you have 1,000 buses and 1,000 drivers and people at that echelon, at a certain income level, which is far below what we enjoy as the entrepreneurs or who run those communities of people, who actually serve the cause of the passengers who are going from A place to B destination, but to be driven at that level to do their absolute best every day, to be their courteous best every day, to be at their best of hygiene, to be the best turned out. Every one of them needs for the entrepreneur to be so clued on in terms of the empathy you bring to work, that it brings the best out of the people that you work with. I have been a police officer, I've worn a uniform for 10 years, and perhaps I came from a background of leadership taking a lot for granted. And I used to serve in Uttar Pradesh, and where policing was even more dramatic than it is in other parts of India. Certainly what I see in Tamil Nadu is a very different variant to that, where it's unquestioned obedience to what the Kaptan Sahab has to say, as they would say in UP about the SP. I mean, there was no debate. There was God above and there was the SP below. That's the kind of policing, that the power that is wielded by a man in uniform, or a man or a woman, and you may mistake that to be people's allegiance to you. You may end up taking that for granted, when actually that leadership is a very monodimensional, unidimensional kind of leadership. But what it does teach you, what it did teach me hugely, was because there were such a huge number of people as part of any police establishment, that when you care for them, when I don't know how it is in Tamil Nadu, but as in superintendent of police, once every week used to be my review of my parade, and I would spend 4 hours visiting the canteens where the food was cooked for the constables, whether the hygiene, the lavatories, the toilets, the vehicle center, anything and everything which had to do with the welfare of the force was at the very center of what you did as a senior police officer, and that's what you're taught to do. So perhaps that concern for how people are and what makes them perform in adverse circumstances, the realization of that is something I was able to bring into the world of business, and I became an entrepreneur, and perhaps have been able to integrate some parts of that into the manner in which I have been associated with my company for over 25 years now. That is the kind of leadership that people will look for from you if you want to give them purpose. Passion is not something as a leader you can have 100 people and say you have to be passionate about this. You can make them competent about something. Making them do the same thing again and again, they may develop competence. But will they be passionate about it? Absolutely not. Passion can only come when you excite them with a cause which is slightly larger than what you do every day. There has to be a greater cause, there has to be a greater alignment to a greater goal, and it has to be something above the self. This is something I swear by and swear to with all my colleagues, that please don't expect to create passionate groups of people by just asking them to do the same thing every day. They will get very competent at what they do. But if you're looking for excitement and passion and alignment, it's not going to happen that way. That brings me to perhaps, what is it that a leader is supposed to do for that? That passion can only come if you demonstrate some aspects of the way it's not just about how you look after them. You could be the most concerned compassionate leader. But that's not enough. You also have to excite them into action. So leadership is not a soft word. It's not about just emotional quotient. It's not just about loving the people who work for you. It is about your ability to charge them with action. Charge them with action of a caliber and of a quality that they look up to. Every day you have to set that standard. If you have that leadership, if you have that ability to excite them in what they do on an everyday basis, and you keep them at the very center of all that is important, the purpose and the passion will follow. It will take time. It's not an immediate dividend. I went to office today and I led my people in a certain manner, and I don't see the passion happening. I don't see the passion around me. There is no quick fix to it. Passion is something which is built in teams of people over a period of time. The leader has to remain extremely patient and extremely excited himself, because only he knows initially. When I set out to define an objective for the group of people working for me, at that start point, it's only me who knows the destination. And then I start sharing it with you, and I start sharing it with Vijay and with Afzal, and slowly and steadily, with the manner in which I infect you with my greater cause, and I convert you into my cause. The 1 and 2 and the 4 and the 5 and the team starts, aligning into a laser-like focus, and that's the purpose. And the purpose it's a business goal. It's about profit and loss. It's about a balance sheet. There is no escaping what lies at the end of the journey, or what will make the organization survive as a healthy balance sheet, no doubt about it. But to get to that balance sheet, to keep it consistent, you need to excite the people, keep the people at the very center of what you do. So when you look around organizations, and Vijay referred to it, a number of corporate senior companies you talk to, their favorite, or one of the things they moan about is, we just don't find adequate leadership. Isn't that quite incredible? There are so many leadership programs, so many management programs running the course of leadership. There are offsites. Every company sends their executives for offsites, and so many different things companies do. But if you say, who in your company can lead the next 200 crore initiative? You're going to start a new division. It's got to have 200 crores of revenue. We are investing 50 crores in it. Put that down and you look around you. Very often you will be startled that you are not able to find a ready leader in your organization who can go and take that challenge up, and whom you're sure will deliver. So clearly there is something wrong with the system within which we are looking for leaders, and we are grooming leaders. So there are 3 questions you have to ask yourself. If I'm a leader and I want to excite my organization, create the passion, is where am I looking every day to see the patterns of change that walks alongside you every day? We come to work, at least I speak for myself. The more operationally hands-on you are, the more tunnel focused you get. The more you see the environment only close to your eyes, because that's how focused you get on what you're doing. And you become very unaware of what's happening on in the environment, and often you'll say, oh my God, I did not see this happening. And some competitor comes and takes away your business. The business realities on the ground changes dramatically. The solution you have is suddenly no longer relevant. And when you sit back and analyze, you will ask yourself as to how did that happen? How did I not see it coming? And that's because you're too closely focused operationally, and you don't look at the environment around you. So one of the questions good leaders need to ask themselves to keep their people engaged is, where is the change coming from, and where are you looking to anticipate the change? Where are you traveling? Who are you talking to? Who are you meeting? What books are you reading? Ask yourself this question. If it's the same thing, I do the same thing every day, I meet the same people every day, and I'm not really reading enough to know the patterns emerging in the world, I guarantee you that good leadership will fail irrespective of what your intentions are, because you will become out of step, you'll become a dinosaur, you will find yourself in an environment you're not familiar with. The second question good leaders need to ask, again, if people have to follow them and get excited, is, Who are you spending, who's your network? Most of us as good leaders, competent leaders, have the same people. We have the same network, we meet the same, we have the same friends, we have the same counselors, we hear the same thing. How ready are you to break out of that comfort zone and go and find a network of people who think completely different outside the community you spend time with? Because if you don't do that, you will not see the discontinuity in the pattern which envelopes your business. And if you don't see the discontinuity coming, you will not adapt. If you don't adapt, your people will see you and your organization failing to meet the exciting changes which are required to keep them engaged. This is a different world. They have millions of opportunities waiting for them. And you'll see them flagging too. Yeah, you'll wonder, why are they not passionate about what they're doing? Why are they not excited about the goals I'm setting? Because they can see that you're out of step. And they will sense it at various layers in the organization, and it'll catch up with you one day. And perhaps the last thing which I leave it for a leadership conclave and leaders to think about is, how often are they willing to stop doing what they have been doing all along? What you've been doing in the past which has worked for you. But to say that I have to make a change and go outside of that requires you to pause and ask yourself, are you willing to eject that which you're doing every day because it's familiar and comfortable? So what happens when you suggest something? It's the same. If you are with the same network of people, they'll be the first ones to tell you, are you out of your mind? Why would you want to do that? You're very successful. Your company is turning a decent profit. You're growing at 15% per year. Why would you want to change this? Because you're staying with the same group of people. So somebody said that what you need to effect change and for leadership to be impactful at all points of time is emotional stamina to actually keep all the naysayers away from you. You have a new idea, you want to do something, all your friends, family, network, your board may say, don't do that. I keep hearing this from a lot of people, Venky, why do you want to change something which is working? You really need to have mental strength to shut the voices out, and then do something which you believe in will change the way your organization is looking at things. There is an inherent risk to it, but that's leadership. That is being dynamic. That is what will give purpose to your people. When they see that the leadership is alive and dynamic to what change it is seeing around the environment. Because if you don't stay in step, if you don't stay relevant, and your organization becomes irrelevant for some reason, the hundreds of people who work in that organization, and I'm presuming they're a certain kind of organization, they are committing the best years of their youth to your company, let's say an age of 30 to 40, when the children are growing up, they are betting on you leading them to the other side in a manner which will not fail them, in the content of their life, in the manner in which they live their life, and do they feel, does their self-esteem go up at the end of the journey that they work for you? So if leadership does not see and anticipate change, if it is not willing to change the people, the network which is advising it constantly, if you don't have the stamina to make those changes, you may not build an organization which creates that energy around it, which unleashes the passion. In 1787, I think this is a quote I read by one Quincy Adams. He was the president of America as far back as 1787, and he said, when leaders can inspire their people to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more, then they're real leaders. Imagine something which is relevant 200 years ago. If somebody can inspire a group of people to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more, then you're a real leader. So these are elements of leadership which the passion and the purpose will follow. It will take time for that formation to align itself, but singularly and without seeking any immediate compensation as such, as a leader, you have to put your people in the very heart of every enterprise, at the very heart of what you want to do. And then when you find a beautiful balance between what you do every day, which will build competence, and what you will do exploratory, which will create that excitement in your organization, which will bring in that spirit of innovation, that spirit of adventure, the spirit which keeps that part of human spirit alive, which seeks new frontiers every day, and not kill it by just repetitive, monotonous work which you have to do. So a beautiful balance of being able to dream and being competent can only be done by leaders who understand that people are at the very central, the central pillars of what you want to accomplish. So in that sense, I congratulate the Conclave, the team, congratulate all of you. And I read the bios of the speakers today. Each one of them have had fantastic journeys as leaders. My police colleague here, I'd be very interested in knowing his journey as a police officer, and the things you've done are legend in Tamil Nadu police. A lot of people talk about what you've done, and I've always wanted to meet you, and it's fantastic that I could see you here today. And to Afzal and Madam here, wish you all the very best. I'm sure it's going to be a terrific day for takeaways and for exploration for all of you who are here, who registered to be part of this conference. And as always, Madras Management Association truly is a leader. The way in which it creates events, conducts events, is always finding new ways to make content more relevant, is itself a study in great leadership. Congratulations, Vijay, and thank you for having me here. Thank you all, and have a great day of deliberations.